Welcome to Vital Life Stories. Today we explore a dark tale where an innocent child becomes a living weapon of pure revenge. Born into shadows, the young boy never knew the warmth of a loving embrace, only the cold steel of his training. His father did not raise him with gentle words or kindness, but with a deep, consuming hatred for the outside world. Every single day was a brutal lesson in survival, stripping away his humanity to forge a perfect, unfeeling killing machine. The innocence of childhood was violently stolen away, replaced by endless combat drills and harsh punishments for showing any weakness. This was not parenting. It was the most terrifying form of mental abuse, turning a living soul into dark weaponry. A vibrant seed of life was systematically crushed and molded into a silent messenger of death for his father's enemies. To ensure absolute loyalty, the cruel father planted a devastating lie deep within the fragile mind of his growing son. He told the boy that his mother was dead, brutally murdered by the very people they were sworn to destroy. This calculated deception was a masterful psychological trick designed to sever any remaining emotional ties to a compassionate human society. Believing his mother was gone forever, the child had no anchor left in the world except his manipulative, cold father. The father became his only source of validation, his only guide, and the sole reason for his miserable, dark existence. Years passed in this toxic isolation, and the boy grew into a formidable young man, devoid of empathy or fear. He moved through the shadows like a ghost, executing his father's orders with flawless precision and absolute, unquestioning blind obedience. Every target he eliminated pushed him further away from his own humanity, locking him inside a prison of endless bloodshed. He never questioned the identities of his victims, viewing them merely as obstacles in his father's grand, mysterious master plan. The blood on his hands felt like a badge of honor, a twisted proof of his worth and unwavering loyalty. But the father was not just building an assassin. He was carefully orchestrating the ultimate act of personal, cruel revenge. This revenge was not aimed at a rival syndicate or a business enemy, but at someone from his own past. The climax of this tragedy began to unfold when the father handed down the dossier for the final, crucial mission. The target was a woman living a quiet, unassuming life far away from the violent underworld they inhabited every day. She was described as a dangerous traitor, someone who had betrayed their family and caused the death of his mother. Fueled by a lifetime of manufactured rage, the assassin accepted the contract without a single moment of doubt or hesitation. He traveled to her city, blending into the crowds, a silent predator closing in on his completely unaware, vulnerable prey. For days he watched her every move, studying her routines, looking for the perfect moment to strike from the shadows. Yet, as he observed her, something strange began to stir within the cold, empty void of his heavily guarded heart. She did not look like a ruthless traitor. She had a gentle smile and eyes that seemed hauntingly, painfully familiar. He dismissed these feelings as weakness, reminding himself of the father's strict teachings and the pain of his lost mother. The night of the assassination arrived, shrouded in heavy rain that washed away the sins of the dark, sleeping city. He infiltrated her home with ease, bypassing security systems like a phantom, leaving no trace of his deadly, silent presence. Standing in the hallway, he drew his weapon, his breathing steady, his mind focused entirely on completing this final task. He pushed open the bedroom door, ready to unleash his vengeance upon the woman who allegedly destroyed his broken family. But as he stepped inside, his eyes caught sight of a small, silver-framed photograph resting on her nightstand table. The moonlight illuminated the picture, revealing a younger version of the woman, holding a tiny, smiling baby in her arms. Next to her in the photo stood a man he recognized instantly, his father, looking unusually happy and deeply content. A sudden, sharp pain pierced his mind as buried memories fought to break through the mental walls of his conditioning. He stared at the baby in the picture, noticing a distinctive, star-shaped birthmark on the infant's tiny left shoulder blade. His hand trembled slightly as he reached up to touch the exact same mark hidden beneath his own dark clothing. The truth crashed over him like a tidal wave. This woman was not a traitor. She was his living mother. The entire foundation of his life, every word his father had ever spoken, was nothing but a monstrous, sickening lie. His father had manipulated him, turning him into a weapon to execute the most sadistic, unimaginable revenge against his mother. This was the ultimate paradox of his bloodline. His profession and his family were now locked in a deadly embrace. He was sent here not just to kill, but to destroy his own soul by murdering the woman who birthed him. The sleeping woman stirred, opening her eyes to see a dark figure standing over her with a drawn, lethal weapon. She gasped in terror, but as her eyes adjusted to the gloom, she saw the tears falling from his face. She looked at his eyes that mirrored her own, and a mother's intuition pierced through the veil of darkness. She whispered his birth name, a name he had not heard since he was taken from her warm, loving arms. The weapon dropped from his trembling hands, clattering loudly against the hardwood floor as he fell to his shaking knees. In that shattering moment, the late awakening tore through his very being, forcing him to confront his true, hidden identity. He was forced to ask himself the most terrifying question: am I truly a human being, or just a tool? Am I a man capable of love, or merely a bloody knife wielded by a madman seeking cruel, endless vengeance? His mother slowly reached out, her hands gently touching his scarred face, offering the comfort he had been brutally denied. For the first time in his tragic life, he felt the genuine warmth of unconditional love melting his frozen heart. He realized that his father's greatest crime was not teaching him how to kill, but stealing his capacity to feel. The tragedy of his manipulation was complete. He had been instrumentalized, turned into a pawn in a sick, twisted game. But now, the cycle of abuse could finally end, broken by the powerful, undeniable truth of a mother's enduring love. He made a vow in that silent room, swearing to protect the woman he was originally sent to brutally destroy. The assassin died that night, and from his ashes, a broken but healing human being began to slowly emerge anew. He knew his father would soon come looking for answers, expecting to find a corpse and a victorious, loyal son. Instead, the father would face the wrath of the very weapon he had spent his entire life carefully, cruelly forging. The instrument of death had finally gained free will, turning its sharp blade back toward the hand that held it. This story serves as a dark reminder of how hatred can corrupt the most sacred bonds of human, familial connection. When children are used as tools for vengeance, the damage inflicted upon their souls is profound, devastating, and often irreversible. Yet, even in the deepest darkness, the light of truth has the power to pierce through the most elaborate lies. The human spirit, no matter how deeply suppressed, always yearns for connection, for love, and for its own true identity. He chose to embrace his humanity, rejecting the monstrous destiny his bitter father had so carefully planned out for him. The blood on his hands could never be fully washed away, but his future was finally his own to write. He walked away from the shadows, guiding his mother into the safety of the approaching, warm, and bright morning light. Their journey ahead would be difficult, filled with the ghosts of the past and the threat of his father's revenge. But they faced it together, a mother and son reunited by the very plot designed to keep them forever apart. The tragedy of manipulation ends not with a fatal strike, but with the courage to reclaim one's stolen, broken life. We must always question the narratives forced upon us, seeking the truth before we become blind tools for another's hate. Thank you for joining us on this emotional exploration of deceit, survival, and the enduring power of the human spirit. If this story moved you, please reflect on the bonds in your own life and cherish the truth you hold. Subscribe to Vital Life Stories for more deep, thoughtful tales. Until next time, stay true to who you really are.